Hello everyone, I am Mulin Jacob, second year medical student, Faculty of Medicine, University of Jaffna. Here I am going to cover the areas superior and anterior mediastinum. The mediastinum is the space between two pleural cavities. Let's divide the mediastinum. We are using an imaginary plane which passes horizontally through the sternal angle, or we can call it as manubriosternal joint, and passes backward to the lower border of T4 vertebra. Above this plane is superior mediastinum and below inferior mediastinum. Then we divide inferior mediastinum into three compartments by fibrous pericardium. The part in front of fibrous pericardium is anterior mediastinum and the part behind is posterior mediastinum. And middle mediastinum in between containing pericardium, heart, together with great vessels and lung roots. Anterior and posterior mediastina are in direct continuity with superior mediastinum, and their separation is fully descriptive, not an anatomical. Let's look about superior mediastinum. It is wedged shape. Anterior boundary is manubrium. Posterior boundary consists of first four thoracic vertebral bodies, superiorly thoracic inlet, which is clinically called thoracic outlet. It has direct continuity with root of neck. Inferiorly, the imaginary plane is there. Here, this is very important thing that the plane passes via bifurcation of trachea, concavity of arc of aorta, and the plane is just above the bifurcation of pulmonary trunk. Azygos vein enters superior vena cava in this plane. Thoracic duct reaches the left side of esophagus in this plane, and ligamentum arteriosum, left recurrent laryngeal nerve, tracheobronchial lymph nodes, and superficial and deep parts of cardiac plexus. At the thoracic inlet, midline is fully occupied by esophagus and trachea, and a piece of lungs lies laterally. They are separated by above structures and nerves. Below the inlet, a space is formed between manubrium and trachea. The space is occupied by brachiocephalic trunk, left brachiocephalic vein, and thymus. Okay, let's see about the contents of the superior mediastinum one by one. First, arc of aorta. It emerges from the pericardium and ascending aorta reaches the level of the plane, and the concavity of the arc of aorta lies in the plane of sternal angle, and the arc is fully lies in the superior mediastinum. It passes backward over the left bronchus and reaches the T4 vertebral body just left to the midline. From the upper convexity, it gives rise to three great arteries which supply to head, neck, and upper limbs: brachiocephalic trunk, left common carotid artery, and left subclavian artery. And the arc is crossed down its left side by two nerves: phrenic nerve, which runs in front of lung root; vagus nerve runs behind the lung root. The left superior intercostal vein passes across the arc, superficial to vagus and deep to phrenic nerve, which reaches the left brachiocephalic vein. Next, the left recurrent laryngeal nerve, which hooks around the ligamentum arteriosum to pass upward on right side of arc of aorta. Pulmonary trunk bifurcate into right and left in the concavity of the arc, and the arc of aorta contains baroreceptors and chemoreceptors. Let's see about three major vessels of arc of aorta. First, brachiocephalic trunk or innominate artery. It begins as midline branch and slope upward across the trachea to the right, back to right sternoclavicular joint. It branches into two: right common carotid artery and right subclavian artery, and rare chance of origin of thyroidema artery. Termination of brachiocephalic vein lies in front of brachiocephalic trunk. And second one is left common carotid artery. It arises just behind the brachiocephalic trunk, passes straight up along the left side of trachea, and it has no branches in the mediastinum. And last one is left subclavian artery. It arises just behind the left common carotid artery, and it has no branches in mediastinum and leaves at the point behind the left sternoclavicular joint. Next, veins. The right and left brachiocephalic veins each formed by union of internal jugular vein with subclavian vein. These are asymmetrically arranged in the superior mediastinum. The right one passes vertically downwards and the left one passes across the superior mediastinum with a downward inclination. Both join and form superior vena cava. Each vein receives vertebral vein, inferior thyroid vein and internal thoracic vein. The right brachiocephalic vein, which commences behind the right sternoclavicular joint, and at its commencement it receives right jugular lymph trunk, right subclavian lymph trunks and right bronchomediastinal lymph trunk. The left brachiocephalic vein runs to the right side above the arc of aorta and behind the thymus and upper half of manubrium. In infants, it projects slightly above the jugular notch, and in adults, if vein is distended, it may project above the jugular notch. It is vulnerable to suprasternal incisions, example, in a tracheostomy. It receives thoracic duct, left superior intercostal vein and thymic vein. And the superior vena cava begins at the lower border of first right costal cartilage by the union of both right and left brachiocephalic veins. It passes vertically downwards behind the right border of the sternum and anterior to the right bronchus, and it pierces the pericardium at the right second costal cartilage and enters the upper border of the right atrium at the lower border of third right costal cartilage. It receives azygos vein behind the sternal angle, and there are no valves present in the superior vena cava and brachiocephalic veins. Next, the ligamentum arteriosum. It's a remnant of ductus arteriosus of the fetus. It passes from the commencement of the left pulmonary artery to the concavity of the arc of aorta. The left recurrent laryngeal nerve hooks around it. Next, the cardiac plexus. It consists of sympathetic, parasympathetic, afferent fibers and small ganglia. It contains superficial part and deep part. Superficial part lies in front of ligamentum arteriosum and deep part lies right of ligamentum arteriosum. The branches from the cardiac plexus enters the pericardium by accompanying the coronary arteries and reaches the myocardium, especially at the SA node and AV node. It receives sympathetic fibers from 3 cervical and upper 4 or 5 thoracic sympathetic ganglia on both sides, and parasympathetic fibers are from both vagi and both recurrent laryngeal nerves. This is why the referred pain of the cardiac pain is felt at the arm, chest or neck. The trachea is the one of the major content of the superior mediastinum. It commences at the C6 vertebral level. It's 5 cm above the jugular notch. It bifurcates into 2 principal main bronchi, a little to right of midline, at the upper border of T5 vertebral level. It's about 10 cm long and 2 cm in diameter. Due to full inspiration, trachea may stretch to 15 cm and the bifurcation descend to level of T6 vertebra. And there are some structures lies in front of thoracic part of trachea. More superficially, manubrium with sternothyroid and sternohyoid muscles. And there is a remnant part of thymus. Deep to that, inferior thyroid vein and left brachiocephalic vein are there. And right brachiocephalic vein and superior vena cava are anterolateral to the trachea. Next, brachiocephalic trunk and left common carotid arteries are there. They diverge to each side of trachea, and pulmonary trunk branches into left and right, left to the tracheal bifurcation in front of left bronchus. Let's look about blood supply. The arterial supply is by the inferior thyroid artery and bronchial arteries. They form an anastomotic network, and venous blood is drained to the inferior thyroid vein. Next, if we look about nerve innervation, mucous membrane is supplied by the afferent fibers from the vagus and recurrent laryngeal nerves. Sympathetic fibers from the upper ganglia of the sympathetic trunk supplies the smooth muscles and blood vessels. The lymph drainage passes to the pretracheal and paratracheal nodes and to the inferior deep cervical nodes. In the superior mediastinum, 2 main nerves are there, phrenic nerve and vagus nerve. Let's see about phrenic nerve. Right phrenic nerve. It's related mainly with the venous structures in the thorax, such as right brachiocephalic vein, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and pericardium over the right atrium. It passes via the vena caval foramen of the diaphragm, which is located in the central tendon, to reach the undersurface of the diaphragm to supply the diaphragm. The left phrenic nerve related mainly to the arterial structures in the thorax, left common carotid artery and left subclavian artery. It pierces the muscular part of the diaphragm just to the left of the pericardium to reach the undersurface of diaphragm and it supply it. Next, the vagus nerve. Right vagus is in contact with trachea. The left vagus is separated from the trachea by arteries which arises from the arc of aorta. The left one crosses the arc medial to left superior intercostal vein and the right one lies on the trachea medial to arc of azygos vein. On the arc of aorta, the left vagus nerve flattens and gives off left recurrent laryngeal branch, which hooks around the ligamentum arteriosum, pass upon right side of aortic arc and ascending in the groove between trachea and esophagus. The right recurrent laryngeal nerve given off at the root of neck by right vagus nerve. It hooks around the right subclavian artery. Here, both right and left recurrent laryngeal nerves give branches to deep part of cervical plexus. We have seen about superior mediastinum. Now let's look about anterior mediastinum. It is the space that lies between the pericardium and sternum. It overlapped by anterior edges of both lungs. The thymus gland is the main content of the anterior mediastinum and sternopericardial ligament. Some lymph nodes and branches of internal thoracic vessels also there. Let's look about the thymus. It is soft and bilobed gland. It is most prominent in the children and located in the superior mediastinum and extended into anterior mediastinum. If we see the relations of the thymus, anteriorly the manubrium and upper part of body of the sternum and adjacent costal cartilages together with sternothyroid and sternohyoid muscles. Let's look about the blood supply of the thymus. The branches from the inferior thyroid artery and internal thoracic artery supply the thymus. The venous drainage is through the corresponding veins. Frequently, a relatively large short thymic vein enters into left brachiocephalic vein. If we see the lymph drainage, it does not receive afferent lymphatics, but the efferent lymphatics drain into parasternal, tracheobronchial and brachiocephalic nodes. Now we look some clinical correlations. Here, the fascia extend from the neck into superior mediastinum. The prevertebral fascia blends with the anterior longitudinal ligament of the T4 vertebra. The pretracheal fascia blends with pericardium over the front upper part of the heart. So, here the neck infection in front of pretracheal fascia which directed into anterior mediastinum. The neck infection behind the prevertebral fascia which arrested into superior mediastinum in front of vertebral bodies. Neck infections from other places may extend through the superior mediastinum into posterior mediastinum. The next thing is widening of the mediastinum. The space of the mediastinum may extend pathologically. For an example, the hemorrhage into mediastinum due to lacerated great vessels such as aorta or superior vena cava, or the massive enlargement of the mediastinal nodes, or due to hypertrophy of the heart. Next, mediastinal shift. The deviation of the mediastinal structures towards one side of the chest cavity is known as mediastinal shift. It is a clinical and radiological marker. The tracheal shift is an indicator of the upper mediastinal shift, and the shift in the position of the heart indicates a lower mediastinal shift. Since the pleural cavity is confined by the rib cage, in case of a moderately large pleural effusion, the structures in the thoracic cavity normally get pushed to the opposite side. Here, the mediastinal shift is due to massive left-sided pleural effusion. The heart and trachea is severely displaced to the right. The mediastinum may be shifted to the affected side in lung collapse. Next, mediastinoscopy. The mediastinum can be observed using a mediastinoscope. This instrument can be used to perform minor surgical procedures, including biopsy of the mediastinal lymph nodes. Next, the patent ductus arteriosus. This is the persistence of the ductus arteriosus. It is a relatively common congenital defect If it left uncorrected, it causes progressive work of heart, which leads to hypertrophy of the heart and pulmonary hypertension. Next, aortic aneurysm. The wall of the aorta consists of three layers: intima, media, and adventitia. The elastic muscular layer preventing the wall from the rupturing of the wall due to high pressure. Over time, the generation of the disease causes breakdown of the middle layer and weakening of the wall of the aorta, while blood pumping against the weakened area causes dilation of the particular area and bulging out like a balloon, which is known as aortic aneurysm. Next, aortic coarctation. Simply, it is narrowing of aorta. More commonly, there is a short segment involved in this region of ligamentum arteriosum or still patent ductus arteriosum. In these cases, circulation of the lower limb is minimum. Here, the intercostal arteries derived from the aorta receive blood from the superior intercostal, which are from the costocervical trunk of the subclavian artery, and from the anterior intercostal branches of the internal thoracic artery, which arising from the subclavian artery, and they form an anastomotic network around the scapula, together with the communication between the internal thoracic artery and inferior epigastric arteries. They provide the principal collaterals between the aorta above and below the block. In consequence, the intercostal arteries carries more blood, so these arteries undergo dilation and tortuosity and erode the lower border of the corresponding ribs to give the characteristic irregular notching of the ribs, which is very useful in the radiographic confirmation of this lesion. Here I am sharing some essay questions which are asked in exams at Jaffna University. You can try it. And that's the end of this session. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Please do subscribe and keep supporting us.